Hello, it's Arthur Bird at Global Derivatives 2011. I'm here with Alexander Sokol, founder and CEO of Compatible and formerly founder of Numerics, global leader in financial analytics. Alexander, tell me, what do you think was the biggest impact of the past crisis on the financial modeling and financial analytics for that matter?
I think it was a very significant impact, and in fact, I would even call it a significant change in direction in quant research. Prior to the crisis, quant research, which started from the very first option models in Black-Scholes and Merton model, and through a sequence of more and more sophisticated models, which captured more of market data for collaboration, which made it possible to price derivatives more and more precisely based on very high level of liquidity and availability of hedging, and there was a sequence of models which better and better captured the value of derivative under this assumption. The Sabre model, some of the very recent developments. But after the crisis, a complete change of direction has occurred, where some of the things which were important before were no longer is important because, for example, certain types of hedges are no longer available. On the other hand, there are many things which are taught to students in the very first courses that they take when they are getting a mathematical finance degree that actually no longer the case. So there is no such thing as a risk-free rate. There is no such thing as using LIBOR for everything. There are different ways to discount. There are different ways to do liquidity adjustment, credit value adjustment, debt value adjustment. And also, it was especially very interesting, I think, to everybody who comes from a science background, and most of the people in quant research do, is quant research now became much more like a science where trying to explain a physical phenomenon rather than just trying to...
Experimental science, as opposed to...
Or explaining experimental science, as opposed to just doing kind of more mechanical, what's the exact value of this derivative under known in advance set of assumptions.
So speaking of that, you have contributed a chapter on credit value adjustment to the book that I happen to have recently edited on lessons from financial crisis. What do you think will be other new such advances in quantitative modeling that you expect to happen in the coming years, especially when it comes to impact on financial analytics and practically used applications in the banks as well as hedge funds or investment managers?
Yeah, I believe that there will be very significant developments. It's of course very hard to predict in advance exactly what shape they take, but I would say that the current stage of this new direction of quant research is kind of similar to perhaps a Black-Scholes formula already invented, but the volatility smile not taken into account yet.
Right.
Where even at today's session at the conference, people were arguing, well, here's a debt value adjustment, and well, actually it's kind of assumed on the fact that good news and some of the paths my firm will default, and that will be a big positive payoff for me. Well, which does not really make a lot of sense.
Right.
And here the accounting treatment of making an assumption that your firm is a going concern kind of clashes with the bilateral CVA assumption, where you're assuming that you actually could default. So I think what should emerge from there is kind of a unified theory of derivatives pricing, which will now take into account not only the actual value of derivative based on changes in market data, but also things which have to do more with accounting, with liquidity, with the funding costs.
Yeah.
So the hope is that such theory would take all of this into account, as well as will integrate all of the previous advances in quant research.
I would perhaps add that it's not just about theory, but it's the practice. Once these things start being used in practice, that's when the actual market will change and hopefully will become more stable.
Exactly. In fact, given that any over-the-counter derivative transaction is an agreement between two parties, some market consensus needs to emerge about how price derivatives, and right now certainly this consensus is lacking with respect to some of these credit value adjustments and other adjustments that have to go into
Very
the
good.
price.
Thank you, Alexander. That's it for today.
Thank you.